I like how in the 2000s games had like licensed new metal songs, like Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance and shit. Yeah, we play. Shiny and chrome. I saw a story today that there's kids that are like, they call it chroming or some shit. I guess it's like Mad Max, but it's basically they're huffing paint and shit. Alright, let's play this shit. Yeah, I wanted to play this and talk a little bit about the anime. Since there's so many Terminator movie games, I'll wait until they actually make a new movie, if they ever do. But if they do, they should totally hire this Madsen guy. He seems like he actually gives a fuck a little bit. But yeah, I did really like the anime. I don't think it's quite as good as like the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes are. But I think that's just because it's been so like shitty for Terminator fans for so long. Oh shit. We'll go with medium for now. Well, I was about to say you can pick whatever level. Grave introduction. That artwork is cool. I'm covering up his mouth though.
After 30 years of fighting the machines, humans have barely escaped extinction. Every year, Skynet unleashes new war machines against us, each one designed for a single purpose: to wipe us out. Every year, we continue to defy it by fighting back and striving to live another day. Some look on me as a messiah, John Connor, the warrior prophet come to lead humanity to victory.
Just
if they only knew what I knew. In less than a week, Skynet will activate its latest invention, a time machine. It will send an infiltrator back to 1984 to kill my mother. Skynet hopes Sarah Connor's death will prevent my birth and rewrite history, so I'll never lead the human resistance against the machine's rule. What Skynet doesn't know is that I'm ready to counter its plan. My TechCom forces are assembling to attack its home base at NORAD, buried deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. If we strike with speed and strength, we'll destroy the facility before our enemy has a chance to assault our past in order to attack our future. If we're too late,
Colorado's already a war zone.
I have a backup.
Unfortunately.
A man named Kyle Reese.
Kyle Reese. Fuck my mother. There's a meme on Twitter, like a post I saw, where it's like, it's the line from the first movie, where Kyle's like, John gave me a picture of his mother or some shit. And it's like Linda Hamilton's old face. I like Salvation because they actually showed some future war stuff.
We're really getting pounded up there.
Got a Samoan.
We'll get you back into the fight, Captain Perry. But first you should see what Haven sent us. Skynet's newest infiltration unit exactly mimics a human's appearance. These images were recovered from the security system at Oregon Base.
Do they have his likeness? I don't think so.
You can see that the forward guards are unaware that the infiltrator has slipped past them and is already positioned deep inside their facility. At that point, it begins systematically killing everyone.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it's not Arnold's likeness in the anime. But the one that's in there, the Oliphant one's pretty cool. He's got like a cloak like that. And he takes one of the heads of the Enos to like make them not scan him as a threat.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That'll help.
He's got like a second head, like Quado or some
What's
shit.
Stone's attitude?
He never got over losing his older brother Gabriel.
None of us did.
Is that supposed to be John
Soldiers
Connor?
behind against
The
our
spiky
nature.
hair.
But we could see that Skynet was prepared to ambush our extraction teams.
Everyone understands that the needs of the living outweigh the needs of the dying.
Everybody but Stone. He's just been blinded by grief.
Oh, that should be
Grief
obvious.
is a fool's game. Stone better not let his emotions compromise this mission.
Oh. They always get in, man. They're like roaches and shit. Fucking Terminators. Oh yeah, they never upgrade their red vision either. Their red scanners. Whoa. Just throw a grenade back there. These Terminators don't need grenades. His hair. Suck on this. Even Terminators are weak to barrels and shit. Red barrels.
Yeah. I pegged the T-800. Looks like the same model that hit Oregon.
Yeah, I like how when Malcolm's a little kid, he says like,
What about the
took
battle plans?
incredible coordination
We
just
can't
to
let
kill one
Skynet get him.
Terminator.
Check. Shoot out the mainframe so they start smoking. I'm going topside to round up the troops and do a damage assessment.
Oh shit. So yeah, the first episode, I like that scene, that first Terminator fight scene, obviously. But like, there's a part where like you think the main chick, well, the main chick from the past, Aiko, I think. You think she's like hiding in a locker, and I was like, oh, they could totally make like a Terminator like Alien Isolation game. Since both franchises are like pretty tied together anyway, that'd be cool. I was a little disappointed that like the Terminators don't have Arnold's face. I thought that would have been cool. Oh yeah, and then like, so it flashes between like 2022 or some shit, and like 97 or whatever. And it's cool because when they show like Japan in 97, there's like a video game store and it has like a banner for like a PlayStation and 64 and Sega Saturn. I like that. One of the things I thought was the most unbelievable was that they could make a robot cat that advanced, that like reacts exactly like a real cat would. Like I can buy the Enos and shit, right? Because they're just like shitty regular ass looking robots. But the cat is pretty advanced. It even has like a modem. Later on, the Terminator like opens his mouth and the modem screeches come out of his mouth. And that's how he tracks the little kids. And I was saying before how like I think it didn't really need to be at 8 episodes. Like it definitely kind of drags in the middle, and early on like they could have condensed a lot of this shit to get the story going. It really gets good by like the last 3 episodes or so. But it does take a little bit to get started. I think the fucking kids are kind of annoying, especially the older brother one. I couldn't stand the fucking little brat, dude. He like wants to like fucking take everything apart, and he wants to take apart the cat toy. And he's being mean to the sister and shit.
Messed up. Took some shrap in the arm. Feels so damn stupid.
It's okay, soldier.
It was an aerial. He took it down with
And yeah, they show how like in the future, like the Aiko chick, she fights that Terminator and like sticks something in its eye to get like information out of it, I guess, to make like a time machine. I kind of wish that like they'd like mentioned John Connor at least or something, because he is supposed to be like the leader of the resistance, but they kind of don't mention him at all. Later on, I guess it kind of makes sense because Malcolm kind of wants to keep it secret that he made Bukaki, but so it makes sense that he wouldn't want to like tell everybody and that John Connor wouldn't know about it. But I can also see like if John Connor did know, he might like maybe be on board with the idea. And yeah, there's like a Oracle lady character that's kind of cool. And Aiko's like, will this change everything when I go back? And she's like, the old lady's like, you have no fate. That's the fucking point. There's some very nice moments to use the word fuck or fucking in this show, which I appreciate. Oh yeah, when Aiko gets in the time travel pose, she's naked and shit. And like, if it was like a movie or if there was like actual detail, you could totally like see her vagina from the back. And then when she time travels back to Japan, she like her like little time bubble or whatever like is in a love hotel. And you like see a shot of her like in the alleyway, and like they give her a really big ass, which I appreciate. And then yeah, as she's like time traveling, like the Terminator that she fought with is like killing everybody and shit. Because basically what they're trying to say is like when you go back in time, like the Oracle lady kind of explains it later, it's like you're going back to a different past and making a different future. So like, you know, in that future, like everyone's just lost and fucking died. And so she's going back and like making a new timeline or whatever.
This was just an advance force.
And yeah, basically like they're going back to kill this scientist guy who's making another AI to try and like stop Skynet. And he's basically spending the whole show trying to convince her why humanity is worth saving. Coco Row. Way down in Coco Row.
Skynet must have planned this attack well.
And like I said, it does get long-winded, but there are cool elements where she's like bringing up how like humanity always makes weapons of war and shit, and like the scenes of him trying to convince her, and like his backstory is slowly unraveling, which is pretty well done. But yeah, basically, like I said, at a certain point, the little brother's like trying to fuck with the cat toy, and it makes the girl character run away with the cat. And their housekeeper, Masaki, like she gets cut or something, and so that like distracts her, and then all the kids fucking leave, and they end up in this like underground like abandoned mall area. I guess it was supposed to kind of like mimic like the underground resistance or whatever, but I was like, is that really a thing, that there's like entire like underground malls and shit that are abandoned? It seems pretty crazy, that have like medical facilities. Because at a certain point they go down there, and the Terminator it tracks them through the cat thing. But the Ico girl, when she catches up with them, she like fights the Terminator. I've seen people kind of say like it's pretty unbelievable that she could like fight the Terminator off. And yeah, that does seem kind of odd because she's just a human chick. But yeah, they do kind of reference. They have these moments where they reference the other movies, which is nice. And like she gets injured at a certain point, and like Misaki has to like patch her up or whatever. But yeah, there's a cool like scene before that where Malcolm and Misaki are trying to go find his kids, and the Terminator just shows up there and he's dressed like a Japanese, like, I guess road worker or some shit, like the Beastie Boys Intergalactic video. That's what he's dressed like. And at a certain point, these other two cops come and he like just crushes their heads together. Which is pretty cool. The violence and the blood and the ass shots are pretty nice on the show. I also didn't realize that like Japanese cops with guns, like it's like attached to like a phone cord or something on their belt. I didn't realize that was a thing. I know that the animation team kind of wanted it to be set in Japan, but it also like I guess helped with the story because there's like not as many guns and shit. They kind of reference that in the show. Like at a certain point, the Terminator like puts a crossbow in his arm, which is pretty interesting. Since there aren't a whole lot of guns. I mean, they do use guns, but there's not like, you know, machine guns and shit. Yeah, it seemed a little unbelievable that there's so much like traffic accidents. Like the little kid's mom dies in like a public train accident or public bus accident. Later on, he's explaining to Kokoro Malcolm like, I wanted to find meaning in it, but she just hit her head on some metal or some shit. It didn't mean anything. But yeah, like at a certain point they all meet underground, and then she like fights off the Terminator. But then like they get separated, and I goes with the little girl, and the Terminator's like chasing them. And there's like an elevator with like, you know, like an empty elevator because there's nothing there. And the chick literally like bear hugs the Terminator and like pushes him into the elevator, and he like falls down. And I was like, yeah, that's probably like the most unbelievable thing. And meanwhile, he's like fucking like hitting her and shit, you know? She'd been fucked up. And yeah, they get split up, and they also kind of reference the first movie with the Terminator coming into the police station, because they try and go to a police station, and of course he catches up with them there, and that was a pretty cool sequence. And then yeah, Masaki's like trying to like get between the kids and the Terminator, and it like fucking like grabs her arm and like crushes her arm and shit, and it like you find out that she's like not human, she's a robot. And then when they're trying to run away from the Terminator, the kids are fucking annoying, dude. They're like, oh, you're what do they say, like you got wires sticking out of you, you're a machine or whatever. And she's like, put your fucking seatbelt on. Let's get out of here. And then like the older brother is like fucking mean to her and shit, calling her like she's just a machine, or you know, putting her down or whatever. But she can like, she has feelings and shit, you know. So he like hurts her feelings. He like gets an arm from one of the Enos and puts it on her. And then yeah, at a certain point the little girl leads Aiko to this little cat amusement park she used to go with her mom. And I guess Masaki knows that they're going there, And then and then I guess like Masaki knows they're going there, so her and the other two little boys are like going to the same place. And oh yeah, right before that, like Skynet like actually launches, and so Malcolm has to like let the AI he's talking to like bring her online, basically, like let her control everything, and so she can stop Skynet. And so she does temporarily, but she like takes over all the emos and shit, and she's like corralling all the people in Japan and like forcing them to like comply for their own safety and shit. And so because of that, like the people are like anti-machine now, and these like weird like Japanese gun nuts or whatever they see Misaki and they like want to shoot her and shit, and she like fights them off or whatever. But the older little brother gets a gun, and he like saves, I think he saves his brother, but he wants to like shoot Masaki in the head. And he's just fucking like a dumbass little kid, because she's like the only one that's like been trying to help them, and that's what the other little brother tells him basically. But it just made him fucking. And honestly, he like ruins everything basically. Like you'll find out in the ending. There's an episode that I like that it starts with
What are you supposed to do in here?
Kokoro playing Claire de Lune, which is a song my mom introduced me to a couple years ago. She said she wanted it at her funeral or whatever. But I thought that was cool that that song showed up there. And because basically the whole mystery around Malcolm is like, he says, I didn't really grow up with much music because it's like a famous song. And the whole mystery around him is that he's from the future also. And then Bukaki.
Why isn't he?
And he kind of explains like his history. Like as a little kid, he used to like help fight Terminators and shit. And I like that he talks about all the other movies, how like, you know, we just endlessly kept sending soldiers and Terminators back, and it was just all meaningless, you know. And he makes Masaki basically to like, he says like, what if we gave a machine free will and we tried to like, you know, coexist basically. And it's cool because he makes like the robot, and it's just like eyes and like a brain kind of. And there's one part I thought that was funny where it's like, oh shit, they're trying to like go woke because Misaki's talking about she doesn't want to be a man or whatever, because men are like usually violent, and she wants to like be a nurturer.
Got no room for you.
Because he's like, why do you want to pick a gender at all? And, like, don't misgender.
Power is out. It's dark. They can't see anything.
Endos can see in the dark.
Yeah, I know.
They're getting routed.
There's a power room ahead. Let's keep the generator.
Oh yeah, and so like it explains that like, okay, so he made Masaki, and then he's like slowly like gives her skin and shit. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention earlier when in the first or second episode when the Terminator goes back in time and he's getting like his skin on. You see like all these other like big titty Terminators and shit. I should have picked one of those. But yeah, he like gives her skin and shit. But he's like, I guess he was doing it in secret because like all these other resistance guys like bust in on him, and they're like, Misaki calls him by his name, and the commander's like, you let this thing call you by your name? It's an abomination. And he basically like has to kill them all, and to make sure that they don't destroy her or whatever. And So he goes back in time to like 83 or whatever shit, 83 Japan. And he says, I didn't expect to fall in love. And he has the kids, obviously. But so what are they implying? That like Masaki like was able to give birth to children? Like how the fuck does that work? They never explain if they're like adopted or anything. Like I don't know. They kind of just glossed over how that would actually work, which is weird. But basically, the Terminator that's been hunting them gets a hold of the older brother, and wants to use him to like get into Malcolm's little theater room that he has with Kokoro. And that's the Terminator that's voiced by Timothy Olyphant, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, at one point it's cool because he like takes refuge, the Terminator, in like a Japanese shrine and shit. And when he's taking the little kid to go to the Malcolm's building or whatever, it's like, don't struggle, I'll break your arms. I was like, yeah, you should have. You fucking deserved it. But he's there to like, he wants to shut down Kokoro to save Skynet. But basically when he gets there, Malcolm's like, it's too late, it's already been done. You can't stop Kokoro now.
Wait for it to turn green.
And so his parameters change, and he needs to take the kid
How are you supposed to know
to another section of the building to like set off this EMP that'll destroy him and all the other, and Kokoro also.
John Connor doesn't tell you shit.
But it's cool because like everyone finally converges, and Aiko and Masaki fight the Terminator, and it's a pretty cool sequence. Like Masaki's like shooting them like up close and shit, kind of like Linda Hamilton, and they like punch each other at the same time, like Rocky and Apollo. But yeah, then at a certain point, like Aiko like lures the Terminator into this like little section of the mainframe database or whatever the fuck, and there's like 2 bombs there, and it blows up the Terminator, but it just takes the skin off, and then you see the endoskeleton, which is pretty sick. Oh yeah, you see it earlier when Malcolm's talking about his childhood, and I really liked the blending of the CG and 2D animation. I thought it looked really cool. I was hoping to see more of that in the Lord of the Rings anime preview. Maybe there will be some more, but that's why I said that didn't look quite as impressive as it should have been. But this Terminator looks pretty cool. And he takes the little kid to the EMP room, and he tells him like, they abandoned you. If you go back there, there's nothing but death. But there is a different future for you. And he basically wants him to choose, to like destroy Kokoro, or to trust it, basically. And it's cool because he like shuts the door on the little kid. He's like, choose, and then he shuts the door on him. And Kokoro like sends all these Enos to come fight the Terminator, and it's pretty sick. He's like fighting them off. And then they're kind of like a tidal wave, like World War Z or some shit. And he's like holding on to the side of the door, and they're like pushing him in and shit. And then they finally like run over his ass and shit. Oh yeah, because basically the Terminator tells him that he sent him as an older person sent him back in time to have him set off the EMP. But he's not sure what to believe, right? And then I guess Kokoro finally convinces him to like abort the thing or whatever, the EMP. And while all that's going on, like Malcolm was dying because the Terminator killed him, and he's saying his goodbyes to his family and shit. Oh yeah, and he reveals that Aiko is his mom somehow, And she's like, how do I have time to do this? And he's just like, you'll figure it out. It'll happen eventually. I'm like, okay. But like I said, his plan was basically to like form an alliance with the machines and shit. Which it's cool because you can see how that would be like a radical idea to the people fighting in the future war. And so yeah, he aborts the mission, and then it kind of like it goes to like a narration of Aiko, and she's like, you know, we're staring into the abyss of the unknown or whatever, and they're like going underground, I guess, to go hide in the malls and shit, and start their resistance, I guess. I don't know. But as she's narrating, you see the one of the Enos grab the Terminator's head, and they bring it to Kokoro. Because she was like 3 different beings at one point before she like got turned on for real or whatever, and then she's like one gold ghost robot thing. But it was cool because when she was 3 things, it was like the colors of like the goddesses in Zelda. It was like red, green, and blue or whatever the fuck. Yeah, I think it was anyway. Oh yeah, and Aiko says, I know one thing for sure, things will get worse before they get any better. So basically I think it's like the little kid Kenta fucked up by not just setting off the EMP. Because I guess... But I guess he didn't, and so like, even though Skynet's still there, like Kokoro doesn't destroy Skynet, she just blocks the missiles from going off, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of left a little vague or whatever. But I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. Like I said, it's not perfect, and it's not as good as like, definitely like what some of the critics were saying, but I mean, overall, it's like nice to see someone that like cares about the franchise make something, you know, in it. Because I feel like Terminator is one of those franchises that like is kind of low on people's totem poles compared to like, you know, Star Wars and Marvel and shit. But I mean, I remember the first time I watched Terminator 2, we were having to return it to Blockbuster or whatever before it was late. And I remember my brothers like press stop on it like during the end credits when it like shows like the highway and like the credits are rolling and shit. And I got upset and I started crying because like the movie's not done yet, you know. So yeah, I really like the Terminator. I saw a clip of that Madsen guy, Madsen Tollin, or I think whatever it is, on Twitter, and he was talking about how like his favorite one is the original one, and he was like giving love to like Terminator Salvation. Like he was saying people were too hard on it. I was like, oh, no wonder I like this guy. If he'd have just mentioned Sarah Connor Chronicles, that would have been perfect. I do really like that show. But yeah, I enjoyed the anime. I think it looks pretty cool, especially all fighting and Terminator stuff. I don't think it necessarily needs a sequel. I'd rather they just like try and develop another movie, you know. But yeah. what I've been doing, dude. I guess they die eventually. You gotta keep shooting. Still nothing.
We're good to go, General.
Finally, dude. Now there's no voice acting, what? Kissing each other's ass. Skynet tank. Oh, Lieutenant Luna. Sounds hot. Buy upgrade. I haven't used adrenaline. How do you use it? Whatever. Wow, I made it to the second stage. Dude, it's like hard to tell where the fuck you're supposed to go in this game. And you only fight like shitty looking Terminators right now. Whoa, nice motion. Where did the sound go? What the fuck? Wasn't there subtitles also? Now you can't hear anything. This game's janky. Alright, good shit. PLM, PMS. Oh, the frame rate got bad in this stage. Alright, whatever. This game's kind of janky, but it seems like it could get better later on. But yeah, it makes me want to watch the movies now.